Hey again, it's Lisa here from my beautiful backyard. What are y'all going to do in the winter when I'm not out here and it snows and it's hideous? Luckily, it's lovely back here. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about what do you intuitively know? What are those things that you kind of just came here knowing? For example, when I thought of this question just now, I thought about the question of whether animals have souls. I'm like, of course they do. And I remember having a conversation with a family member who is very entrenched in her Catholic religion. And so I had said something to her about, oh, when Katie, their dog, goes to heaven, she'll see all the loved ones and blah, whatever. And she looked at me and she said, oh no, no, dogs don't have souls. They are purely here. All animals are purely here for man's pleasure. And I was like, what are you even talking about? No, that is wrong times a million. So I went home and I Googled what is the Catholic teaching on animals with souls. And sure enough, I should never have doubted her. That is the teaching. But I'm like, no, how can anyone say that? Have you ever looked in the eyes of an animal, even a scary ass animal like a bear or something? There's something going on in there. And yes, I do believe they have souls. That's the thing I came in not questioning. I also came in with the knowing that we could talk to God or creator or the universe anytime we wanted to. And once again, and I was raised Catholic, I spent 12 years in Catholic school. The teaching was that you could only go through a mediator to speak to God, a priest in the church. And I was like, no, I talk to God anytime I want to. And I understand that there is some, yes, you're free to speak to God, but there's a certain procedure and it's only if you go through a priest, I don't know, whatever. Like going to confession or communion. Like that ritual of doing that, you could do that on your own. And so I just sort of came in knowing these things. And I wonder, like, what happened in my past lives that I just rolled in despite having 12 years of Catholic school training where I was like, no, that's not a fit for me. Might be a fit for somebody else. And they came rolling in knowing that that's their truth. I got no judgment on any of that. For me, these are things I just knew. At the core of my being, I just knew them. And I knew that that was my path. And anytime I tried to take like a regimented pathway or a regimented or prescribed pathway, it was always the wrong fit. And I feel like I came into this life just knowing just to do my thing, whatever my thing happens to be, right? To just do it the way I am intuitively drawn. I have the most beautiful connection with the universe and God and creator and all of that, all of the spirit guides, like I'm getting all teary eyed, spirit guides and angels and archangels and divine beings. I love my connection with them. I feel supported 137% of the time. I'm always connected to them. I'm always connected to that wisdom. So for me, going to a traditional church where once a week I thought, okay, I'll go to this church, that was never a fit. It was never a fit. And I didn't understand it, mostly because it wasn't a fit for me. I remember telling a friend of mine, if God knows he's great and you know he's great, why do you have to go to church and tell God he's great? I didn't get that whole piece. I was like 12. And my friend said it was really about community and sharing that faith within community, which that I do get. Not a fit for me, but that I do get. So I'm just wondering for you, what are those things that you just know to be true and no one can talk you out of them? No logic can be presented that says it's otherwise. What are the things that you know are fully and completely true for you? I've talked about my connection with Prince and how Prince showed up by my car that day that he left the physical. I know who he was. I knew who he was right in that moment. And that I think is where the trust piece comes in. What are the things that you know are true for you? And do you trust yourself enough to follow them? Do you trust yourself enough to know, like in my family, not going to church was seen as almost being a heretic. Like I was frowned upon for not going to church. And it wasn't even about being lazy, it was because there was no resonance there for me, period. And I knew that. So I have been, when I was younger, shamed into going, shamed into believing that my way was wrong. And I think my family meant well. I don't think there was any ill intent because this is what they believed to be true. But they didn't honor what I believed to be true because it was against what they believed to be true. And so I think about those things that I just knew and that are still true for me now. I am almost 60. Oh God, where did the time go? I am almost 60. I'll be 60 in 3 months. And I think at this point, I'm pretty settled in what I know is true for me. And it resonates with me, and that's what I'm going to follow. But, I think some of that comes when you're younger, but a lot of it comes when you're older and you hit that point where you're like, whatever. If you want to shame me into whatever weird thing you're doing, rock on with the bad self. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that game. So, okay, so the question is, I do tend to wander, don't I? The question is, what are the things that you know for yourself are true from your own inner knowing? And think back to when you were a kid. Think back to, when you were in your early 20s and in your 30s or however old. What was true for you then that is still true for you now, and you know it in the core of your being? How did you know that? And how did you know to trust that? Put your answers below. I would love to hear them. Please tell me I'm not the only person that does this. All right, I'll be back again soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye.